5:30 to 8:30. So I'm just gonna be here on campus all day. All right, that's good. All right, guys, let's start. I'll just, if anybody else comes in, I'll just, so let's look at, I just have one poll for you. Which of these is not a relational operator? And you guys got this right, it looks like, so far. Carlos, isn't it? There you go. Right, so what would you call this one here? Greater than? Greater than, and what would this one be?
Less than or equal to.
Less than or equal to, good. And what's that?
Multiply. Multiplication.
Yeah, good.
It does not compare.
Yeah, when relational means we're comparing two
Less.
things. One to another. How does it compare? Is one less than the other, greater than whatever? Okay, so that's my only poll question for you guys for today. And now, let me show you what we're gonna cover today, which should be, I think it's gonna be a pretty good class, not too tough. I don't think we're gonna cover as much as we did last time. Okay, let's see if I can get this laptop to display. I was up till 1 o'clock grading last night. Because my wife wanted to watch this show called One Day. Has anybody seen that on Netflix? It's pretty good. So it was like 4 more episodes, so we ended up watching that. But it's pretty good. It follows a couple. They're English, I guess, British, whatever. Every day for 20 years, and it comes back to them the next year to see where they are in their stage of their lives. It's pretty good. Okay, so we can see this. Cool. All right, so today is the 29th. Today is leap day. Okay. Today's Thursday, 29th, leap day. What's due today? Nothing. Nothing's due today. Unless you didn't turn in what was due last night. Or not, was it last night? Tuesday night, sorry. And then you want to turn it in and it'll be late. What is due next Tuesday at 11:59? So you got the Module 4 interview questions. What are relational operators? And I thought we'd just kind of go through a few of these right now, just to kind of help you guys out. Relational operators, logical operator, what's wrong with this, what's wrong with this, what's a modulus, and we'll look at a few of those. So that'll give you a little help. And then I thought for today, I want to show you guys Lab 4, what it should look like, and how it should be named and commented, because some people still aren't putting comments in. And then I want to go over converting pseudocode into Python code. And I'm going to have a little class exercise where I'm going to ask for volunteers to come up and convert one line of this pseudocode into Python code for me up on there. So if you guys don't volunteer, I'm just going to start calling them. Okay? It's going to be easy. It's not going to be hard. And if you mess up, no big. Everybody's constructive criticism in there, or no criticism, just. And then we're going to go over a new topic called Sentinel Controlled Iteration. So that's our only new topic, Sentinel Iteration. And we'll have a little exercise on that. And then at the very end in your groups, today I'm going to do it a little differently. Let me put some more spaces here. So for our group activity, I'm going to let all the groups work on the same thing. Okay? You're all going to do the exact same problem. Okay? So you might peek over and see what somebody else is doing to help you out. it's a little tricky, but not really, okay? And I'll be here to help you, but I think I'll give you guys enough time to finish it. Cause there was an exercise 210, I don't think we did that, I don't remember if we actually did that, but you wrote a script that inputs 3 integers, and then it displayed the sum, the average, the product, the smallest, and the largest. So basically, sum, average, product, smallest, and largest. So you're gonna re-implement that script, which I don't think we wrote, with a loop that inputs 4 integers, okay, instead of 3. And you can use a while loop or a for loop. And I don't know if I told you guys that whatever you can write with a for loop, you can do with a while loop, and vice versa. Anything you want to write, any loop, you can do with a for or a while. Doesn't matter. You can do the same thing. Hello. Oh, I gotta allow you guys in. Yeah, thanks for coming to class. You guys are really doing well at attendance. I'm really happy with this class. Keep coming, and then you're all gonna do well. And I'm gonna start giving out extra credit
All right.
assignments, so you can boost your grade up.
Yeah, I think he asked me.
I didn't hear any objections to that.
Yeah, make sure you log in. All right, so I'm gonna help you guys out, and you're gonna help me out for these interview questions that are due next Tuesday, okay? So, let's look at relational operators. Now, do I have a good pen? It's okay. It's not very good, actually. I don't like it. I had a good one up here. This is dry erase, right? There was a guy, when I worked at the county, and he went up and there was a screen here, or like a whiteboard, and he wrote on it with a permanent marker.
Ah.
It's like, really? And he was one of the big honchos. He was one of the, not the main administrator, but another administrator. All right, so relational operators, we're comparing 2 things, okay? So we're asking a question, how does, we'll say x equals 5, and we'll just say y equals 8. And so how do we work? These are not relational operators, because this is called this is an equivalence, but this would be what is the word? We're setting it equal to.
Assignment?
Yeah, assignment, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, this is assignment, not relational. Okay, so the single equal is assignment, an assignment operator, not relational. Okay, so if we want to compare x and y, somebody tell me one relational operator.
5 is less than 8.
Less than.
Then less
Okay, that's one. Okay, what's another one? Greater than, so this is less than, strictly less than. This is strictly greater than. Good. Okay, what else? Good, Nick. Less than or equal to. Okay, so this is less than or equal to. Good. Joel? Yeah, good. Greater than or equal? Okay, good. Or equal. Okay? Two more. Fernanda, how about you? Anyone want to help Fernanda out?
Could be, equal,
Equal, yeah. And that just means equal to, right? Or equivalent to. Equal to, and what's the opposite of equal to?
Exclamation.
yeah.
Yeah.
Equal. Not
Not
equal.
No, it's the exclamation mark and the equal sign, but not equal to.
Okay.
My gesture was to press a key. That makes me.
Yeah, these are all the relational operators right there. That's it. Okay? Strictly less than. All right. So if I say x is less than y, and this would be this is a relational operator, but this would also be considered an expression right now, which is going to evaluate to true or false. And in this case, it evaluates to what?
True.
True, yeah, this is true. Okay, so what do I mean by strictly less than? So if I have a number line, and I got 0 here, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, for example. Okay, and I say x is strictly less than, and that's 5, that's IC's. 5 is strictly less than y. Do you guys remember the number lines in school? If I put a circle here, right? And I shade this in. These would be all the numbers that would be strictly less than, right? It doesn't include the number. That circle means it doesn't include that number. Now, if I do the same number line and I have 8 here, and I make a closed circle, and I shade this in, which one would this be?
Less than or equal to.
That's less than or equal to 8. This would be all the numbers that are less than or equal to 8. It includes 8. This would be strictly less than 8 with that, okay? So, when I think I was talking to you guys about the opposite. So, if I say, what's the opposite of strictly less than 8? Okay, we got all the numbers all the way up including 8, but not 8. Up to 8, but not including 8. So what, if I wanted to get all the numbers on the rest of this line, what would it be?
8 or greater.
8 or greater, right? So this is strictly less than. So the opposite of this, and if I kind of draw it right here, would be, that'd be 8. Okay, so combining these two, less than 8, this would be greater than or equal to 8. So these two always, if you're looking for the opposite, if you're saying if this, else the opposite, then you gotta use greater than or equal, and vice versa. If you say if x is greater than or equal to y, do something else, the opposite of this would be what? Strictly less than, right? So these kind of go together. Okay, this is equal to, this is not equal to, okay? So,
Bless you.
if I say x is greater than y, what does that evaluate to? Is 5 greater than 8?
No.
No.
False.
So this whole thing is false. How about if I say x is less than or equal to y? Is 5 less than or equal to 8?
Yes.
Yeah. It's less than, for sure. So that's true, right? X greater than or equal to y?
No.
False, yeah. Is x equal to y?
No.
No, that's false. In this case. Is x not equal to y?
Yes.
Yeah, this one would be true. If I said xy, xy. So you're just comparing two different variables with all these relational operators, okay? Okay, so does that make sense to everybody? Okay, good. See a lot of nods, excellent. Good. All right, so this should help you with this question. Okay, you don't have to go into that kind of depth. All right, let's look at, describe how the code in if statements is indented. Okay, let's do that. So if I say if, let's make it up, let's put up here again, x equals 3 and y equals, what did I say, 5? Oh, x is 5. Well, let's do 3 and 5. Okay, so this is my Python script, and I say if x is less than y, then we're gonna do something. So you could read it like if x is less than y, then. This little thing you could pronounce then. It's a colon. So the things that I want to be executed, if this is true, do I need to put them over here, flush left, or do I need to indent them? Indent. Indent. Everything inside an if statement that you want to be run, if this is true, has to be indented. And I usually hit the tab character, and I'll say we're gonna print, we'll just say print x, or we could do a formatted print actually. Formatted, and we could say x is less than curly braces y. And, okay, so this formatted print, when I put a curly brace around the variables, it actually puts those right into the line. So that would print out 3 is less than 5. It would print this out on screen, okay? So everything that, if this is true, and this, in this case this is true, this is our Boolean expression, and this is true, everything that we want done when this is true, we have to tab in here. So we could do another print, or we could do some, we could put another if statement in here, or whatever we want. Once we back over to here, we could put, well, this would be a normal if then. If we just stopped right here, and then over here, if we put print done, then everything that's true here gets done. If it's true, we execute these statements, and then we just keep going, and we hit this. If this is false, then we just jump right down and we skip all these that are indented. This is called a block. Anything that's indented here, if it's indented, this is called a block. They call it a, they call it something else, right? What do they call it in the book? Something else. This is called a block of code. So it's indented, it's a block. So this is a real basic if, this is just if then, not an else, not an else. Okay. So these are all tabs. You can't mix tabs and spaces. If I put 4 spaces in here, and these things still lined up, it's gonna complain, right? It's gonna say, you have a mixture of tabs and spaces. You guys have probably seen that error already, okay? Okay, so let's modify this, so that's an if. Does everybody understand how an if then works with indentation? Okay. So let's do an if then else now. So if that's true, we do this. Else, and the else goes back here, flush with the if, and we put another colon, and then we indent. And now we can say print, we'll make a formatted print, and we'll say X. So if this is false, that means X is greater than, remember, or equal to Y. Remember I said if something's strictly less than, the opposite is greater than or equal. So you don't even need to check it. You just know if this is false, it's gotta be greater than or equal to Y. So we could change it, and this has to be indented. So this is an if then else. So let's change this to where this is false. Let's just switch it around. Is 5 less than 3?
No.
Nope, so we've got a sound here, and it says 5 is greater than or equal to 3, which is true. And if we made them the same, 5 and 5, this is false, right? 5 is not less than 5. 5 is less than or equal to 5. So this would be false in this case. If it was 5 and 5, this would be false. So it goes to the else, and then it prints 5 is greater than or equal to. It's equal to. Greater than or, one or the other. Okay? Okay? So that kind of helps you with this question. So everything that's indented, this is also a block here. Anything that's indented is a block. And once we get to defining functions, our own functions, everything inside a function definition is going to be indented. And that will be a block. Okay. Who can tell me, Gesundheit, who can tell me what the 3 logical operators are? Logic. Boolean logic.
Oh. If, or, and, not?
Close.
Oh.
Not if.
No, not if,
Keep going, you were there.
well,
Yeah, and or not.
or, and, not, is, what's the fourth one?
No, there's only 3.
There's 3. I thought you said 4.
No. Maybe I did. Okay. Alright, so can I erase this? So you guys have this is if, then, else. So everything that you want in an if statement needs to be indented, okay, for it to work. And the same with the else part, it has to be indented, and I just use a tab, it's easier. Otherwise you have to hit spacebar 4 times or 5 times or whatever. And it doesn't matter if you hit 2 tabs. As long as they line up and they're the same character, you can put 2 tabs. Or 3 tabs. As long as they line up and they're all consistent, it's gonna work. Alright, let's look at the logical operators real fast again. And I think you guys, we've already covered those, so I won't go into it a lot, but logical operators. So we looked at relational. It's comparing 2 things. It's and, or, and not. Okay? So if I say, and we usually use these in an if statement to create a Boolean expression. So we usually would say something like, this, for and to be true, both sides have to be true. Okay, or false. Both sides have to be true or false. Okay. When I use and, both sides, I'll just say must be the same. It could be true or false. And when you use Python and you want to spell the word true, you've got to use a capital T and everything else lowercase, same with false. Okay. So if I said true and true, you guys know that that's true, right? And if I say false and false, they're both sides are the same, so that's false. But if either side is different, it's false. Okay. False and true is false, or if I switch it and put true and false, that's false. Okay. Now, or either side, let's see, I'll say if either side is true, the whole expression, I'll say entire expression, is true. Because this is or, one or the other. So if I say true or false, this side's true, so we know the whole thing is true. This is the short circuit. If it sees a true and an or, it doesn't even look at that. True or true, of course, that's true. Right? We know that. And then if I say false or true, remember I said if either side is true, the whole thing is true, so that side's true. So the whole thing is true, and if I say false or false, that's just false. Whenever either side is the same, it is that thing. Okay? And not just reverses the Boolean operator. So if I say not true, that's equal to
False.
false. Right? Not true is false, and not false. True. Yeah. Whoa. Okay, good. Okay, logical, does everybody understand logical operators? And or not? And we've seen these, we just saw them over here. We didn't really use it here, but we could say, we would use these for compound expressions. We could say if we said x is 3, y is 5, we could say if x less than y and let's put a z in here, 6 and y is less than z, then print yes, whatever. We can do whatever we want. Okay, so here's a logical and. We know both of them have to be either true, both have to be true to execute this block. So is 3 less than 5? That part's true, right? Is 5 less than 6? Yes, that's true. So we have true and true, true and true. Both sides must be the same. Okay, so true and true is true. The whole thing is true now, so we're going to print this. Okay. If we changed this to greater than, is 3 greater than 5? No, that's false. False and true, they both have to be the same for it to be whatever it is, so this is definitely false. You can't have both. So this would not print, okay? It would not, this is a compound Boolean expression. Compound because it has a Boolean operator and it's got two different little expressions. So this whole thing would be false. So we would not execute that. Okay. All right. Very good. Okay, so now that you know a little bit about that, what is wrong with this little snippet right here? I can see 1, 2, 3. Well, if we're gonna put it in Python code, yeah, you're right, because this could be, this kind of looks like pseudocode. I still see something wrong with it. Let's say it's pseudocode, then if and then are okay. We use pseudocode, if and then is okay. What's wrong with it?
There's no colon?
Yeah, this is tricky, because I haven't taught you guys if-then statements with pseudocode yet. So if we're doing pseudocode, which is just fake code, more like English, you would just write if-then, you'd write the words out, okay? So, so this is pseudocode. So you would say if my Boolean equals true, then, and you could use the word.
Oh, you,
Yeah.
okay.
This is pseudocode now. Then, this would be pseudocode. I'm gonna display yes. Okay, so this is pseudocode. Python code would look like this. A lowercase if, my Boolean, you can say double equal to, equivalent to. Do we use a lowercase or an uppercase t? Uppercase, that's one problem right there. And then you don't use the word then, you put a colon, then you indent, and you don't use the word display, you use print. Okay, this pseudocode, this here is Python.
Now, I was under the impression there were a lot less rules to pseudocode, but is the idea of it more so to translate to other languages? But then,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly right, yeah. Because you could write, if you see this, you could say, well, I can convert that to C if I know C, or, you know, C++ or Perl or any of the other languages. You're like, I'm checking to see if a Boolean, which has been set to true or false, we don't know ahead of time, then I'm gonna display yes. So, if I was looking at this, when you see this, go ahead and consider this to be pseudocode, because that's what it looks like to me. So, the only problem I see here is that the lowercase t is the problem. Now, the other one's a little more complicated. What's wrong with this? This is this is a little bit more logical one. If num is greater than 10, or, actually you don't use capital ors either in Python, but this is still num less than 100, okay. Then, okay. Then we're gonna do something. So they did a capital. So, what is this actually telling us?
The number.
So I've got my number line, right? Starting at 0 and say there's 10 and there's 100 over here. Okay, it's saying is if the number is greater than 10, strictly greater than, so that's all this, going forever. Or the number is strictly less than 100, going all the way this way. That's not really telling us what I think we want to do. What they're after, whenever you see something like this, you're trying to find out if a number is in a range between 10 and 100, is what I'm saying. So, you would want to change this to something. What would you change the or to if you wanted the number to be in between 10 and 100?
Oh,
And, right, that's the problem with this guy. Change the or to an and. Okay, now we've got, I'm gonna redraw this so it's a little more clean looking. So now we've got 0 over here, and say 10's right here, and 100's over here. Now we're saying if the number is strictly greater than 10, which goes all the way to here, all the way, and it's also strictly less than 100, right? So that means that number has got to be within this, not including 10 and not including 100. So if num was equal to 10, would this whole thing be true or false? If I say num equals 10, whoops. Is 10 greater than 10?
No.
No, that's false. So false and anything is false,
Yeah.
right? So you know that's false. So it doesn't include 10. But what if I said 50? Is 50 greater than 10 and less than 100?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever see something like this and they use or, they're trying to, this is like a logical error. It's not a syntactical error. It's correct pseudocode, but they're not, the way they had it before, they're not getting the result that they want. Okay, so that's the problem with that guy. You guys know what modulus is, so let's look at a couple, let's just answer these 3. And then we'll move on to the next step here. Okay, we're doing good. Okay, modulus, who can explain modulus?
Divides and then knows what the remainder is.
Yeah, it's the remainder.
Stores the remainder.
Yeah, it gives you the remainder from one divided by the other. So 50, so modulus, we call it modulus, and the operator, you could, in pseudocode it's called mod. This is pseudocode. And in Python, we use the percent sign. So if I say 50 mod 20, that is saying, that's like saying 20 goes into 50 2 times, right? 40 with the remainder of 10. That's the answer. The remainder. When you divide one by the other, okay? Okay, so let's look at the next 2 and you guys tell me what this is. What's 1,000 mod 300?
Mod what?
300.
100.
What is it?
100.
Yeah. This goes into here 3 times, that'd be 900. 1,000 minus 900 is 100, so that's 100. Okay, what about, what's the next one? 17 mod 3.
2.
2, okay, that looks good. So 3 goes into 17 5 times? 3 times 5 is 15. 17 minus 15 is 2. Okay. All right, very good. Okay. So is everybody pretty clear on all this stuff? You guys can answer all these interview questions for next Tuesday?
I have a question, going back to the first thing we did over there, like, I don't understand what my boolean equals true means, like, isn't that just a variable that we created and
Yep.
assigned something to,
Mhm.
so?
Yeah.
I thought we used double equals to equate two variables or something, not to ask if something's true or not.
Yeah.
I think that part of code is to affect, after it's already been created though, right?
Yeah, you can just assume like somebody said my Boolean, they said it, they assigned it to false up here. So you
Yeah,
can
I was wondering what
just
the
assume
assignment was.
that, yeah. So my Boolean, you could assume, yeah, they didn't give you everything you needed. But just assume this is either true or false. So they're saying, if false is equivalent to true, we're gonna do something. And you can do that. This is a relational operator, and you can compare Booleans. Right? You compare Booleans. Right? You can't say one Boolean's greater than another though. You can just say equal. You couldn't say, yeah, you can't say false is greater than true.
Oh,
Like that.
Boolean, yeah, Boolean.
Boolean, yeah, it's either
That's not talking
it's either
about
equal
sequence.
to, you can compare that, or not equal to. And I think you can use the word is. Does somebody have their terminal open? I think you can say false is true. Let me see.
I think so.
Let me fire mine up here real fast. Oh, let me get at it. Make it bigger for you guys here. Let's say false is true. Yeah, that's false. So you can use the word is too to compare. Should show that, but you could say false equal false, and that's true. So you could use the keyword is.
False is not defined. Oh, not capitalized.
You could say false is false. And that is true, because they're equivalent. Or you could say false double equals false, and that's true. But if you said false is not equal to false, that's false. And I think you could use is not. So you could say false is not.
It's not, it's all lowercase, right?
Yeah. All
And-
lowercase and there's a space there. Try it out.
Yeah, that works.
I think that works. So that would be saying false is not false, and that should,
And that should not display or,
if you say false is not false and hit return, it should say false. Let's try it. But you gotta use uppercase. Yeah, and it displays false. All right, cool. Yeah, that's a good question, Richard. Now, let's look at, oh, here we go.
and then I've been wondering, for too long if you can say not and, no, that doesn't work.
Oh, not? It should work.
It's not working for me. False is not false is, it's not understanding it.
Not, I think you'd have to go like this, not true. So not true is false, not false is true. This should be true. But I don't know if you can say not true.
Nope.
Well, you can.
Oh, what's
Okay.
going on here? Okay.
Because it's unary, so, when it's unary, it means it binds with the thing next to it. So it's gonna bind, it's gonna do this operation first, since it's looking for one thing after it.
Well, it's not working in an if statement for me. I was doing it a little differently.
It should. It should. You should be able to put if not true, colon, something. Just make sure it's lowercase, not,
False is not false, the variables are displayed,
Try to take off
colon,
the is.
print keyboard jam, and then it just says invalid syntax.
Try to take off the is.
show it to me on the break and we'll check it out.
Oh, take off is?
Yeah.
No,
No.
it still doesn't like one of the knots,
It doesn't?
for me.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take a peek at it at the break. I wanna show you guys what the assignment should look like if you guys do it, the way I kinda wanna see it. So, whenever you turn in something, this is my little thing that I wrote in 5 minutes. So, put the name of it up here, your name, the date, and then put a couple comments that say what this program does. This program reads the monthly sales and percent of sales increase and returns the store bonus amount and the employee bonus, yeah. And then we've got for each little section here, we got a blank line and then we got a section. So put some blank lines in there and then declare local variables. Monthly sales is 0, store amount 0. And then these are inline comments. They're comments at the end of the line. You can put those in. And then sales increase is 0, percent of sales increase. And then here we're saying the prompt equal to the string literal. Enter the monthly sales, and here, a prompt for the total monthly sales, okay? So notice how it's easy to read because there's a lot of comments and there's a lot of blanks. And then scroll down and this says, this code gets the monthly sales. So we have monthly sales, we have our input, we're passing in the prompt string, and then we're converting that to a float. And then here's a bunch of if-elses. If it's greater than or equal to 110,000. And you don't need to do an else, if, and check again. Somebody in my other class did this. It's just gonna fall through. The logic is gonna fall through. If it's greater than that, it's gonna do this. Otherwise, it just automatically jumps down. It's only gonna run one of these. It's only gonna run one of these statements.
You mean
It's
it's
never
going
get-
to execute from top to bottom?
It's gonna start from top to bottom. Whichever one is true, whichever one of these evaluates to true, it's gonna execute that block that's indented. And then it's gonna exit this whole if statement.
If
Only
if
executes
it's true.
one. If it's true. If this one's false, then it looks at the next one. Is this true? Then I execute that and I get out. So it just goes boom, 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 boom. It falls all the way through. It's only gonna do one thing. If all these if, else, ifs are false, it does the final else. Okay? So it's always gonna do something. This one will do something because it has an else at the very end. Right? So it's either greater than that, greater than that. At the very end, it's gonna be set to 0. So it's gonna fall all the way through. But remember, an if, then, if, else, if, else, only one ever gets run. Same with an if, then. Only one thing ever gets run. Or not. If it's just an if, then, it may never get run. But if you have an else, if all these fail, it's gonna always go to the else and execute that. Here's another sales increase, and we didn't create a prompt for this. We could have said prompt 2 equals enter percent of sales increase, and then replace this whole thing with the variable prompt 2. So notice I have another comment there, and then we get that, we divide it by 100, which gives us our 0.05, for example. If you put 5 in there, it converts it to 0.05. And so here's another if, elif, else. So it's only gonna execute one of these. Okay. So if the sales increases was greater than or equal to 5, you get $75. Else, if it's greater than or equal to 4, so it's less, you get 50. Else, greater than or equal to 3.03, and you get 40. Otherwise, if all these fail, you're always gonna do this, cause it has an else at the end. And then I think we're almost done, and then you print it out, and this is the end of the program, and I used a formatted print, and I just stuck in, a formatted print is pretty nice, cause that way you get to format the string exactly the way you want it, with the spaces, the dollar signs, everything. And this just plugs in the variable right here. Okay, the store bonus amount is boom, store amount, the employee bonus amount is boom, that. And here we have an if, a compound Boolean expression, if store amount double equals 6,000 and the employee amount double equals 75, you've made the highest, you've reached the highest bonus amounts possible. Okay. So this is the whole program, so this is kind of what, like, and a lot of you guys did this perfectly. So this is what I'm looking for when you guys turn in stuff. Something that looks like this, a lot of spaces, a lot of comments, you know, make it nice and clean. This is good, really good programming form right here. All right, so take a little breather, take a break, come back at 10 till. And I can come and peek at your thing, Tim.
Okay.
See why it didn't work. We'll get into Sentinel. Controlled iteration. Oh, well, but I'm gonna have volunteers come up next. Yeah, let's see what you got, Tim.
As I tend to, I was.
Oh, wait, one thing, Tim. Everybody, could you guys sometime, doesn't have to be today, but could you try logging into these desktops? The guy, Ben, said he